and it's their intrinsic
nature. This food basically robs.
Sound feasible, sound like.
Everybody, thanks for watching. Now, this video is in response to another video I seen on Facebook, and I want you guys to take a look.
What's up, Facebook? So, I hear a lot of black people on Facebook talking about they want to move to Africa. Well, move y'all ass to Africa. I ain't going with you. Fuck that. I'll buy your passport. Because you know what? People in Africa don't even like blacks in America, so I don't even know why y'all even want to go there. And you ain't even from there. You was born here in the U.S. So, and then a lot of people that want to go back, they use government assistance. Well, I hate to break the news, but in Africa, you ain't getting food stamps. You ain't getting no child support check. Why you think Obama's daddy went back to Africa? Because he didn't have to pay child support. You ain't getting no housing, no Section 8. Shit, you're going to live in a damn hut. And half y'all Negroes are scared of dogs. So I want to know why you want to move to Africa and you're scared of dogs. And then half of y'all need health insurance. Well, I hate to break the news, but in Africa, you ain't getting no damn health insurance because they got flies that'll kill your ass. They not paying for that shit. I guarantee you that. So let me know how Farrakhan treat y'all ass. And you know what? Don't worry about police brutality, whatever you call it, because they don't even got police in Africa, okay? You get shot, you just get shot, okay? Your husband knocked you upside the damn head, you just get knocked upside the head. And half y'all like to sue motherfuckers for every damn thing, so you get in a car wreck, guess what? They ain't got lawyers. They ain't even got no damn constitution. Ain't no such thing as rights in Africa. You ain't got no rights. So take your asses on back to Africa all you want to. Let me know how Farrakhan treats you. I'm going to stay here with my white folks, okay? I got white friends. So, and a lot of people want to call me whitewashed. Well, let me tell you something here. I ain't whitewashed. Just because I don't blame the white man for everything, okay? Just because you got 9 kids, that ain't the white man's fault. He didn't push Tyrone inside you. He didn't. When your mama told you to get your ass up and go to school, and you skipped school and dropped out, and you ain't got no college degree, and you working at McDonald's, that ain't the white man's fault. You had the damn opportunity. So I'm still trying to figure out why we blaming the white man, why y'all blaming the white man for every damn thing that's going on in your life. Hell, somebody gonna blame the white man because his car broke down. You bought that raggedy motherfucker. You didn't get an oil change on that damn car. The white man did not set that shit up. So I'm still trying to figure out why we blaming the white man for every damn thing. Okay? Then on top of this, I want to know why, if you was born in the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, the 60s, why are you mad about slavery? It is 2016 going on 17. I'm trying to figure out what y'all mad for. Y'all wasn't no damn slaves. I'm trying to figure some things out. Because, because my thing is, listen here. The whites bought the slaves fair and square, okay? It's called the slave trade. They went over there, traded y'all asses for some damn goods, okay? They gave the Africans blankets. The Africans gave the whites niggas, okay? I'm sorry, okay? The Europeans, pigs come from Europe. So, they took the pigs over to Africa, traded the goddamn hog for you. Since y'all think y'all slaves, it was a fair and square deal. They paid cash for y'all niggas. So I don't know why you're mad. Because when none of you no damn slaves, I know that. You don't even know your damn ancestors. Then you want to holler all this Black Lives Matter bullshit. And you know what? I know a lot of people that say Black Lives Matter. I know a lot of black people that leave their grannies and their mamas in a nursing home to die. But you want to scream Black Lives Matter? You don't even care about your damn mama's life. So, when y'all move back to Africa, let me know how Farrakhan treat y'all. Because I know one thing, people in Africa is moving here to the U.S. So I'm confused. I don't know why. People in China moving here. People in Mexico moving here. If America that goddamn bad, why the fuck everybody moving here? I'm still trying to figure some shit out. So, let me know how that go. How Farrakhan them treat y'all. And, you ain't gonna find no good chicken like this over there neither. You ain't gonna find a whole lot of shit over there. And you can't go to the dentist neither. Ain't none of that shit over there. Y'all always wanna holler about rights. You ain't getting no rights over there. But stop blaming the white man. Okay, I got white friends. Shit. I don't drink with the motherfuckers because they get you fucked up. Like Cat Williams say. But I got white friends. They help me out. I help them out. Shit. Hell, my sister even got white friends. And shit, they all got each other's back, okay? But I know damn well I can't count on one hand how many Negroes got my back. But let me tell you, I can count on your hand, my hand, on how many white folks done help me out. So I'm just trying to figure out why y'all mad. So let me know. Oh my God. Let me know. You know when chicken's so goddamn good, you can't even talk. So let me know how Farrakhan treat y'all, okay? I'll be here when y'all want to come back. Hit me up. Send your comments and shit. Share this shit. Talk your shit. But ain't none of y'all no damn slaves. Don't blame the white man, okay? The shit going on in your life, okay? Did nobody tell you smoke them damn drugs and go to jail? The white man did not put your head down on the table and make you snort that crack. You did that your damn self. Don't blame the white man. Cause your damn baby daddy went to jail for shooting up Taquan. Don't blame the damn white man. Blame the damn self. Pissing me off.
Now, for those who subscribe to my channel and have been following my videos, you know I have never done a video against another video. But I wanted to use what little platform I have to address this issue. But first, let's read some of the comments here. Sherry Boyette says, "You tell it how it is." Others are saying rude comments. Everyone has their opinions. You haters need to quit. It was also whites that died helping to free slaves. Quit hating people. All lives matter. Jen Peters says, "It's just nice for someone to speak the truth. It's no one's fault but their own if things are not going as they want. America is full of opportunities." Samantha Brent says, "Please teach everybody this. Props to you, my man, for being educated and knowing the truth." Gregory LaCoy says, "Yes, Jasmine, blame the white man. Remember, white folks fought to give blacks freedom. Thank the white man for HUD, EBT, and making sure you get child support. People like you seem to have a problem with everything but themselves." So, obviously, I have a sense of humor. Ha ha ha. The video was funny in its ignorance. But as you go and you start reading the comments, you start to see that, well, wait a minute. You know, people have a serious problem. But let's address the video. First, he says that, the Africans don't even like us. They hate us. Now, I have been to Africa myself. I have never experienced any hate, only love and support. But don't take it from me. Let's take it from an African.
We are Ghanaians. We are proud to be Ghanaians. Yeah. I know that out there they are educating you badly, wrongly. That we Ghanaians are living in the trees, we live in woods, and those things. We are monkeys. We are never whole. Yeah, we love, we also care, we also take care of our children. So I don't expect you people to accept the fact that we are monkeys living trees. Yeah, we speak English. If it's not good, but we are able to express ourselves. So please come back home. Come and join us. Come and be with us. There are brothers out there. Come home. Come home. Hey, he's coming. I know. Come home and join your brothers here. Yeah. We would love to meet you here and, to employ us, to join you, work to develop Mother Ghana. Thank you so much. And we love you. Bye-bye.
Now he says if you go to Africa, you're going to be living in huts and you're not going to have access to the same kind of benefits you got here. But Africa has many great benefits in certain countries. You have to remember, one, Africa is not united. They are separate countries in Africa. So, of course, every country is not going to be the same. But if you go to certain countries, you're going to have access to the same benefits as we do here in America. And in some cases, better benefits. This is Africa. It is beautiful in many countries. And there are many people who do not live in clay huts, but live in nice, large, beautiful homes. Now let's address this whole thing about Africans selling other Africans into slavery, because I can't believe we actually argue about this. It's ridiculous. And it's deceptive because it makes people think that every single slave that was sold into slavery that came to America, was brought here in chains, was sold by another African. I mean, how does that work? How do you pull up to Africa in a ship and say, hey, can I buy some slaves? Some kind of dialogue has to take place. You cannot have a supply without a demand. Now, another thing is, if I sell you a brand new car and you pay for this car all cash, I don't expect you to take that car home and hang it from a damn tree. I don't expect you to set that car on fire. I expect you to take care of that car because you paid good money for it and you're using that car to benefit yourself. I don't expect you to destroy it. I don't expect you to oppress it. I expect you to treat it accordingly. What kind of a person justifies slavery by saying, oh, it was your fault, it was your own fault? Like the slaves themselves actually asked to be sold into slavery. What about the slaves? What about the victims? But I guess they don't matter because they are black slaves. If you don't believe Black Lives Matter, then I guess you won't believe the slaves' lives matter as well. Everything that took place once the slaves got to America is on the slave master. Now, understand this, because this is the problem with white people. You get guilty. You feel some type of way when we start talking about this. You feel like you have to comment or say something. If you did not own slaves, if you did not oppress black people, we are not talking about you. When we say the white man, when we talk about slavery and we say that, we are not talking to you. White people today. We are talking about the white people back then. We are talking about the people who actually owned slaves and oppressed African people, who oppressed black people. These pictures here were taken after slavery, when we was free. So there's no excuse. What is the excuse for this? The excuse is this is hatred. But if you did not do this, you have no business commenting on this. If you're not going to simply say that, hey, yeah, it was wrong, this is disgusting, then don't say nothing at all, because it makes you look like a racist. There are thousands of people around America, around the world, who are marching with the whole Black Lives Matter movement because they get it. We're not saying that white lives don't matter. We are saying that our lives matter as well. Granted, I understand. I think the whole slogan should be changed to Black Lives Matter also, to get people to really understand that that's exactly what we are saying, that Black Lives Matter also. But this is something that you should understand. All lives matter, of course. But if black lives matter as well, then we wouldn't be the only ones being slain in the street, shot by cops, and having it broadcast all over the news. Now, I understand as well that there are also white people being killed by cops, in many cases more than black people. Why is that not plastered all over the news? Instead of you talking about Black Lives Matter, you should be trying to find out why is the news media not talking about all the white people who have been killed and shot by cops. Now, this is for the white people who say that, you wouldn't be free if it wasn't for us. The revolution was fought and white people died, so you can be free, so we should just be thankful. Now, first of all, You were the only ones who could free us, and you should be the ones who freed us because you were the ones who enslaved us. And also, for black people who have this whole problem with the 4th of July and the American Revolution, I know a lot of black people are upset. You are angry. You have hate in your heart for the past, but you need to understand the facts because one, yes, and you're not going to like this, but we would not be free if it wasn't for those white people who decided that what was going on was wrong. You have to understand what it means to be born into slavery, born into a system where things are the way they are. It's nothing you can do about it. Slaves were born into slavery. That's all they knew. Even if they wanted to rebel, a lot of those slaves raised those white kids. They knew those white families. They forged a bond. This is why some of the white people wanted to free them, because they was close to them. George Washington inherited slaves at 11 years old. They raised them. He grew up with them, and he knew that slavery was wrong, and he wanted to do something about it. George Washington said that I can only say that there is not a man living who wishes more sincerely than I do to see a plan adopted for the abolition of slavery. Now, everybody knows that when George Washington died, he put in his will, before he died, saying that I want to free all my slaves when I die and when my wife dies. Now, we know when he died that Martha Washington didn't wait till she died. She freed the slaves less than 2 years later. It's easy for us to say, well, they should have been freed. They should have never been slaves in the first place. And we got to get past all that. We got to understand that, one, being born into slavery wasn't just something that happened to black people, it happened to white people as well. You understand that when you raise your child, if you are a bilingual person, your child will grow up speaking both languages without taking a language course. Just by being around a mother or father and being in that atmosphere, they will pick up things. This is why racism is taught. You know, it's taught to a person. It's not something that you are born with. We've seen many times where black kids and white kids get along just well. It's something that is taught. Now, if you're born into slavery, this is all you know. This is all those white people knew. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you the facts. This is all they knew. Luckily, there was some who seen that this was wrong and that something wasn't right with it, and they fought to free the slaves. Now, founding fathers have said many things about slavery. John Adams said, Negro slavery is an evil of colossal magnitude, and I'm utterly adverse to the admission of slavery in the Missouri territories. Now, you remember John Adams from Amistad. That's a true story. This is a letter that one of the slaves wrote him, thanking him for freeing him. People wasn't just against slavery for some kind of gain. It was against slavery because it was wrong, because it was raised by slaves. They knew slaves and black people who was good men. Everybody knows about Benjamin Banneker. Benjamin Banneker is responsible for surveying Washington, D.C., the layout of Washington, D.C. Thomas Jefferson, this is what he said about him. Nobody wishes more than I do to see such proofs as you exhibit, that nature has given to our black brethren talents equal to those of the other colors of men, and that the appearance of a want of them is owing merely to the degraded condition of their existence. I understand people are upset about what's going on, but you have to understand the truth about the past. There were free black men who fought in the revolution. There were slaves who fought in the revolution, who fought in all the wars. This is something that you have to accept as black people, and you can't just ignore their sacrifice and say, we have nothing to do with America becoming a free country, with America, fighting in the revolution and fighting for the freedom of black people. We all fought in it, both black and white. They didn't want the slaves free because of some kind of political gain. They wanted them free because they knew slavery was wrong. Thomas Jefferson knew it was wrong. George Washington, his slaves fought alongside of him. Some of them fought alongside of him in the American Revolution. You got to understand what happened and what took place back then. I understand we should have been freed 1776, but you have to realize what happened. First off, the American Revolution began 1775. The Declaration of Independence was signed 1776. But you have to realize that Thomas Jefferson included a passage in there condemning slavery. Now, what happened was you had the Southern delegates who was representing the interests of the slave owners in the South, who got with the Northern delegates who was representing the interest of the slave merchants and slave traders. and they blocked the vote for the revolution. So even though the South and these delegates tried to block the whole vote for the revolution, even though we had to let them get their way, if it wasn't for July 4th, 1776, Vermont wouldn't have been able to separate from New York and put in its constitution the whole abolishment of slavery, which led to the whole North abolishing slavery by 1804. So July 4th, 1776 is a very important day no matter how you look at it. So yes, black people should be thankful for the white people who gave their lives and fought in the American Revolution so that we can be free. But white people should also be thankful to the black people, to the free black people and the slaves who fought in the American Revolution to help to give them their independence from their own king, King George III. White people should thank the slaves for building the foundation of this country, for making their ancestors rich and wealthy and giving them a life of privilege so that they can have a life of privilege today. There's no war that you have fought in this country that we did not fight alongside you. July the 4th is a day that we honor those people. It has nothing to do with Jim Crow and everything that happened after the American Revolution that we both and all fought in. So don't say it's just a white holiday. Don't say it's just a holiday that belongs to white people and we shouldn't celebrate it. This is a holiday for both of us. You have to understand there were 13 colonies. You got to understand that France, Mexico, Spain, other countries own large parts of America. It's not like America today when we are all united. America was not united. The Union was very fragile and you had to hold on to it because you have people who had two different viewpoints. You had people who wanted slavery. You had people who didn't want slavery. You had people who had their own views on trade. It was very crucial to hold together the Union. Now, I know a lot of people always play that whole clip when Lincoln said that, you know, if he could not free the slaves and save the Union, he wouldn't free no slaves. They don't read the whole passage because Lincoln also said that, well, if I have to free all of the slaves to save the Union, I would do that as well. And that's exactly what happened. He freed the slaves to save the Union. The Union was the only thing keeping the British and keeping our enemies away from taking over the entire country. The Union had to stay together. But the 13 colonies cannot control all of America. They couldn't control everything. We know they wanted the slaves to be free. And if they had their way, then July 4th, 1776, we would have been free. But we know the South blocked it, which is why later on we had to have the whole Civil War against the South. If they did not want us free, we wouldn't have been free after the Civil War. I know it's hard for black people to accept that and to understand that, but you have to accept that because it's the facts. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, it's not going to change. Yes, it's 2016 and none of us had to go through slavery. Most of us didn't have to deal with Jim Crow and the whole civil rights movement, but we are still feeling the emotional and psychological effects of it. We can show how these things directly correspond with the situation we are in today, that the whole mindset of slavery, the whole mindset of racism and bigotry still exists in people in high ranking positions. People who have the power to determine whether or not a black person gets a loan, gets a job, gets a mortgage, or goes to jail. We can see how these things exist. The reason why we still talk about them is because we deal with them on the daily. Now, for white people saying that, hey, we're lazy and we don't want to do nothing, and black people, you know, we talking about Black Lives Matter and we kill each other and this and that. You do not understand what's going on in the black community, and it would take me too long to explain to you everything that's happening. But for you people who believe that we just want to be lazy and we don't want to get ahead and we just want food stamps, first of all, there are more white people on welfare and food stamps than black people. That's a mathematical fact since, you know, you make up more of the population than we do. But it's not even about that. It's about addressing the poverty issue in America for black and white people. Now, if you want to believe that we all have it the same and black people have it, you know, equally as good as white people, then you are sorely mistaken. But I don't expect you to take my word for that, which is why I'm going to play this.
A half century ago, when Senator Kennedy spoke of the Civil Rights Act, entrenched racist power did everything it could to sustain the oppression of African Americans, and violence was its first tool. Lynchings, terrorism, intimidation, the 16th Street Baptist Church, Medgar Evers, Emmett Till. When Alabama Governor George Wallace stood before the nation and declared in his 1963 inaugural address that he would defend segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. He made clear that the state would stand with those who used violence. But violence was not the only tool of oppression. African Americans were effectively stripped of citizenship when they were denied the right to vote. The tools varied: literacy tests, poll taxes, moral character tests, grandfather clauses, but the results were the same. They were denied basic rights of citizenship and the chance to participate in self-government. And the third tool of oppression was deliberately to deny millions of African Americans economic opportunities solely because of the color of their skin. I have spoken often about how America built a great middle class. Coming out of the Great Depression from the 1930s to the late 1970s, as GDP went up, wages went up for most Americans. But there is a dark underbelly to this story. While median family income in America was growing for both white and African American families, African American incomes were far behind those of white incomes. In the middle 1950s, the median income for African American families was just a little more than half the median income for white families. And the problem went far beyond income. Take a look at housing. For most middle-class families in America, buying a home is the #1 way to build wealth. It's a retirement plan. Pay off the house and live on Social Security. It's an investment option. Use the house as a way to be able to finance a business. It's a way to help the kids get through college. It's a safety net if someone gets really sick. And if all goes well and grandma and grandpa can hang on to the house until they die, it's a way to leave wealth to the next generation, a boost up the economic ladder. For much of the 20th century, did we lose a, there we go. Oh, just getting wound up here, okay. And for much of the 20th century, that is exactly how it worked for generation after generation of white Americans, but not for black Americans. Entire legal structures were created to prevent African Americans from building economic security through home ownership, legally enforced segregation, restrictive deeds, redlining, land contracts. Coming out of the Great Depression, America built a great middle class, but systematic discrimination kept most African American families from being part of it. State-sanctioned discrimination wasn't limited to home ownership. The government enforced discrimination in public accommodations, discrimination in schools, discrimination in credit. It was a long and spiteful list. Economic justice has not ever been sufficient to ensure racial justice. Owning a home won't stop someone from burning a cross in the front lawn. Admission to school won't prevent a beating on the sidewalk outside. As Dr. King once wrote, the inseparable twin of racial injustice is economic injustice. The tools of oppression were woven together, and the civil rights struggle was fought against that oppression wherever it was found, against violence, against the denial of voting rights, and against economic injustice. The battles were bitter, and they were sometimes deadly. Violence, voting, and what about economic injustice? Research shows that the legal changes in the civil rights era created new employment and housing opportunities. In the 1960s and 70s, African American men and women began to close the wage gap with white workers, giving millions of black families real hope that they could build economic security. But then, Republican trickle-down economic theory arrived. Just as this country was taking the first steps toward economic justice, the Republicans pushed a theory that meant helping the richest people and the most powerful corporations get richer and more powerful. I'll do just one statistic. From 1980 to 2012, GDP continued to rise, but how much of the income growth in the United States went to the 90% of America, everybody outside the top 10%, the 90% of America, Black, Latino, white? The answer is zero. None. Nothing. 100% of all new income produced in this country from 1980 to 2012 has gone to the top 10%. Today, 90% of America sees no real wage growth. For African Americans, who were so far behind earlier in the 20th century, this means that since the 1980s, they have been hit particularly hard. In January of just this year, African American unemployment was 10.3%, more than twice the rate of white unemployment. And after beginning to make progress during the civil rights era to close the wealth gap between white families and black families, in the 1980s, the wealth gap exploded, so that from 1984 to 2009, the wealth gap between white families and black families tripled. The 2008 housing collapse destroyed trillions of dollars in family wealth across this country, but the crash hit African Americans like a punch in the gut, because middle-class black families' wealth was disproportionately tied up in home ownership and not in other forms of savings. These families were hit harder by the housing collapse, but they also got hit harder because of discriminatory practices. Yes, discriminatory practices in the 21st century. Recently, several big banks and other mortgage lenders paid out hundreds of millions of dollars in fines, admitting that they illegally steered black and Latino borrowers into more expensive mortgages than white borrowers who had the same credit. Tom Perez, who at the time was the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, called it a racial surtax. And it's still happening. Earlier this month, the National Fair Housing Alliance filed a discrimination complaint against real estate agents in Mississippi after an investigation showed that those agents consistently steered white buyers away from interracial neighborhoods and black buyers away from affluent ones. Another investigation showed similar results in our nation's cities. Housing discrimination is alive and well in 2015. And one more issue that is dear to my heart. It's time to come down hard on predatory practices that allow financial institutions to systematically strip wealth out of communities of color. One of the ugly consequences of bank deregulation was there was no cop on the beat when too many financial institutions figured out that they could make great money by tricking, trapping, and defrauding targeted families.
You got to understand that, yeah, of course, African Americans have problems. We got issues because we have been through some psychological things that white people would never understand. They created the condition that black people live in, and they thrust us into it. So, example, what happens when you have a black child who is raised in a white community, who goes to a white school, who's surrounded by white people, who's surrounded by privilege? We say, oh, well, he's trying to sound white, or he sounds white. He sounds educated. Why don't we say the same about a black kid who grows up up in the ghetto, in the hood, because he does not have the same benefits as that black kid who grew up in that white community. You got to understand the schools are being funded based upon the taxes in the community. So if the community is not bringing in a good amount of money, the schools are not going to have adequate supplies. So there's clear data out there that we all know and that they know that the quality of education, the quality of resources, the quality of life is better in the white community than it is in the black communities. And they know this. What have they done to combat this? Nothing. They want you to think that we are just being lazy, that you guys work way harder than black people do, that we just want to sell drugs and have babies and milk the system. They want you to think that we have the same opportunities as you do when we do not. The reason why white people believe that they have the same opportunities as we do, that we all have equal opportunity, is because you are white. You are experiencing life as a white person. You have not experienced it as a black person, so you don't know the kind of opportunities that have been taken away from us. You don't know what it means to be black. Now, there have been experiments done on this whole thing.
Josh took some potentially life-threatening pills to change his skin color from white to black. And what he experienced as a black man was chilling. So chilling, in fact, that after just 1 week of being black, he abruptly called off the experiment and went home to let the medicine wear off. And we asked him to retrace his steps to take a look for us.
Often when I ran into people in the street, they reacted to me as if they were scared or suspicious.
I went in this pool hall to get a drink. They followed me around like I was a thief. One afternoon, I was walking back to my hotel down this road. A police officer pulled me over at that intersection, started to hassle me about who I was and why I was there. Things like this never happened to me when I was white.
One time I went into a fancy restaurant to eat, and although I saw several vacant tables, the maitre d' told me that there was nothing available. And in the short time I spent as a black, I can only conclude that perhaps we haven't come as far as we thought.
So how did that make you feel? Because I think that is the one thing that over the years I've done at least 100 shows on racism, and it's so hard to convey what having that happen to you, being treated like a suspect every day of your life, what that does to your personal psyche.
Right. Well, that's the hardest part. Whites receive this prima facie respect. I walk into a room, regardless of how much money I have in my pocket, there's a certain level of respect that I get from folks. And the first thing that I realized when I was black was, it's gone. You don't get any of that. White people get this respect, and black people are constantly trying to prove that they deserve it or are worthy of it.
I want every white person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
So you have to understand, black people are living in a totally different world that you cannot see. Yes, it may seem like we have the same opportunities because you are talking about your experience. You are talking about the experience that you go through as a white person. You cannot relate that to us clearly. Now, you are being psychologically taught to hate us, to fear us. Black people are being psychologically taught to hate themselves. The whole results of the black doll, white doll test proves this. The fact that black kids think that the black doll is ugly, the black doll is bad, the black doll has no worth. And you wonder why we grow up and kill each other. You wonder why we don't support each other. It's psychological racism. It's psychological warfare. And you will not understand this unless you want to. Unless you want to know the truth. You have to go through what we go through. And you can't do that. So you have to stop and listen to what we are saying and analyze it and see that we are not saying what we are saying to be racist, to be evil, to say that we don't like you or hate you. We are screaming out that something is wrong. Understand this. If you take a group of people in poverty and you put them in the same area, violence will ensue. It is inescapable. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are. The same things that are going on in the black community is happening in the poor white communities. White people are killing each other. White people are selling drugs. White people are being shot by cops. White people are being arrested. White people are committing crimes. White people are on welfare. They are having babies out of wedlock. It is inescapable. It doesn't discriminate. Poverty never discriminates. No matter what race you are, if you are in poverty, there will be crime. The only difference is the news media is only reporting on the black crime, the black violence, the black people having babies out of wedlock, the black people killing each other. They're only talking about this stuff. They're not talking about what's going on in the white community, what white people are going through. They're not putting this stuff all over the news the same way they do us, because it's a racist, biased news media. White America has to understand that there are things they are not being told about African people to keep this whole, cloak of white supremacy gone. They don't tell white people about the accomplishments of African people. They don't show you that we were kings. We had kingdoms in Africa long before any European kingdom. Look at all of the kingdoms that were destroyed by the Europeans. These are the ruins of African castles. Castles and kingdoms in Africa. How many people actually knew that there are castles in Africa older than any European castles? How many people knew this? Look at the ruins of these castles and these ancient civilizations. These African kingdoms are still there in Africa today. They still exist. You have to understand that when the gun was invented, these kingdoms was raided, they was taken over, they was robbed for all of their riches. To keep the Africans from retaliating, they was enslaved. The people who were enslaved, the reason why they was able to come to America and build the foundation of America is because they already had the knowledge of building. They already knew things. The original slaves, the first group of slaves were these successful farmers, the successful traders from Africa. Kings, queens, princes, and princesses who existed long before Europeans. They don't tell you about the Songhai people who had colleges. They had a legal system. The Nook is another ancient civilization who disappeared a long time ago, but they have one of the oldest examples of a higher court system and legal structure. They don't talk about these people because they don't want you to know. They want to divide and conquer and give you this illusion that we were nothing but savages, that we evolved from animals, and they are hiding so much of the truth about African people from you so that you keep this whole feeling and emotion of hate towards us. You have to understand how great African people were before slavery and look into the past. The ruins of these kingdoms are still there. The culture is still there. You can't hide it. They don't teach it in school, but it's still there. They want you to think that we was just running around in the wilderness butt naked, unsophisticated, without knowledge, savages, selling each other into slavery, enslaving each other. They want you to think that we was nothing, that y'all had to come here and hit us on the head, throw a net over us, and drag us to America to sophisticate us and to make us intelligent, to keep us from killing each other. When we was the ones who was sophisticated, we was the ones who had the knowledge. Everybody was coming into Africa to learn, and your historians all say the same thing about it. Tales talks about it, coming into Egypt and learning from the Egyptians. The Greeks, the Romans talk about coming into Africa and learning from the Africans. There's so many stories about the Africans that you were never taught and you will never know if you don't go look. But you don't go look because you already made up your mind that we were nothing and you had to save us. Y'all did us a favor by enslaving us. This is what a lot of white people think and are taught. After the Portuguese and the Dutch and the English came to these African territories with guns and raided and took over and took the wealth from these African kingdoms, they were in fear for retaliation, that the Africans would acquire guns and go back and retaliate against them. And they feared this, which is why they took them into enslavement, which is start enslaving people. As I said, you can't just come into Africa and say, you're going to be my slave or I want to buy slaves. There has to have been some kind of dialogue between the Europeans and these African people. And yes, of course it was. The Africans traded with everybody around the world. They traded with people from all over. They had a dialogue and a trust between them and the missionaries and them and the Europeans. When it comes to trade, they listened to the Europeans when they came with their biblical doctrines, and there was a trust that was built between us, and it was betrayed when the gun was invented, and they came in and they took everything. This is what the facts show. Forget what you feel emotionally. There's no way you can justify slavery. Yeah, we know some black people sold others into slavery, but white people sold white people into slavery as well. Now, you people still don't get it because there's so much hate and jealousy and so many emotions in between these dates. You don't understand that between the American Revolution and, the whole War of 1812, the Civil War, you had black and white people unite to defeat a common enemy. In all three wars, black and white people came together in the American Revolution and the War of 1812 and in the Civil War to fight off the British. What you don't realize, or some of you do, is that we lost. Later, the British would win. 1913, when Woodrow Wilson signed into the Federal Reserve Act, we know they took back America. This is what you have to understand. The America that took place, the America that existed, 1776 is gone. It has been gone for a long time. The America that stands today is the same America that existed before 1776. The people who wanted you enslaved, the people who fought to keep you in chains have taken over. This is why you see so much of the things that's going on in America and all the hate towards black people. Why would they fight so many wars? Why would they fight and die to free us, only to treat us the way they do? They could have kept us in chains and slavery and made money off of us instead of setting us free and doing all this petty shit that's going on now. You have to realize what has taken place. They have taken over this country. We have been warned many times by many presidents about the military-industrial complex. We know JFK talked about the Federal Reserve Bank. People have warned us that this country has been taken over, and that's what's going on. We have been taken over by those same people. We went from white people letting black mothers, black slaves, breastfeed their babies to Jim Crow, and we can't even shit in the same bathroom or drink from the same fountain. Think about that. This is the same master. This is the same evil that we fought against, that we united to fight against. 1776, the War of 1812, and the whole Civil War. This is the same evil. This is the same bank that Andrew Jackson got rid of, that he fought to get rid of. This is the same bank that have kept us in financial slavery, who caused the whole economic collapse, who caused the Great Depression. These same people run this country, and y'all are not aware of it. You have to understand their whole goal is to keep us from uniting ever, because we kicked their asses 3 times united. And they don't ever want that to happen again. And y'all so filled with hate and so much anger that y'all don't see what's going on. America has done nothing but go downhill since 1913. Everything that we got that seems like progress is only to favor them. It's only benefiting them and not us. Before 1913, the central banks had charters. They had charters so that if they messed up America's money, we can get rid of them. We didn't have to use them no more. We can print our own money. Remember when JFK got rid of the Federal Reserve Bank, what did the money say? It said America notes, U.S. notes. It didn't say Federal Reserve notes. These was American notes that we printed ourselves. It was money that belonged to the people. This is why he was killed. One of the reasons. You got to understand that that's everything. We're talking about this country is being run by non-Americans, people who really don't care about America. Look at every single war that has taken place since 1913. America has fought in because they have used us to bring about their whole new world order. Now, you can say this is all spooky talk. This is all conspiracy theory. Everything I'm saying is backed up and on paper. You can research it for yourself. Just simply ask yourself a simple question. How can America be in debt if we print our own money? Think about it. Why didn't we ever change or audit the Federal Reserve and see what's going on with the money, what's going on with this whole system? There's no way there should be any homeless or poor people in America when our country gives away billions of dollars in foreign aid. That's just ridiculous. And people, we too busy arguing about color, about black and white and dumb stuff to realize that they are distracting us from everything that really matters. This stuff does not matter. They know that if we ever united and came together, we would defeat them. Black people have been given a culture that is not us. We have been given a lifestyle that we think is ours, but it's not. It's something that has been given to us, and we have been tricked into accepting this whole hip hop culture. glorifying music that's talking about killing each other, that's talking about, denigrating our women and treating people like crap. This is something that we have accepted and embraced, and we believe it's our culture when it's not. It's something that is used to make us look disgusting. That is one of the plots and ploys of this government system, to make us look like monsters and animals to the white community, so they would stay away from us, so we would never unite like we did before. They don't want white people to see what we see. They don't want them to see that we are good people just like them, and we want the same thing for our families. So when we glorify killing each other, when we glorify denigrating our women, white people can't look at that and relate to it. Of course, they're going to feel some type of way. How can you sit there and say Black Lives Matter when you promote the violence that's killing black people? I understand that. And I know black people don't like it when we say it, but it's the truth. I'm black and I'm proud, and I'm proud of where I came from. I'm even more proud that I made it out of where I came from. I'm more proud that I'm successful today because I know how hard it was where I came from. There's not nothing to glorify. It's not nothing to glorify at all. They have made us seem disgusting. They have made us seem like we are less than human. And that is the image that they want to pound into America, that we are just lazy. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to educate ourselves. We just want to listen to this music, have babies, and try to rape the system for everything it's worth. If I got all of my information about black people from the news media, then I would hate black people as well. This is something that is deliberate because they know if we ever united again, we would defeat them as we have defeated them before. Now, of course, a lot of you going to have your opinions about this video, but don't let how you feel, don't let your emotions come in and take away from the overall message. You may not agree with everything that I'm saying, but the overall message is a message of good. It's a message of love and peace. And that's the problem. A lot of you want to put your 2 cents in, and it doesn't make a goddamn difference, because this whole thing is really about peace, about unity. If you're not for peace and unity, then please sit down. You do not deserve to be talking here, because you might as well just come out and say you're a racist. Plain and simple, whether you black or white. You might as well just come out and say that you hate white people if you black. You might as well say that you're a racist if you white. Just say what you got to say. Don't come in here and try to talk about the facts, about anything that I've said, because it's of no importance. The important thing is the message. The overall message is we are being tricked. It's not a coincidence that Jesse Williams has this speech. Then right after this speech, right after July the 4th, we have this whole outbreak of shootings. When you go back July last year, you can see the same thing. Always in July, you can see there are always news reports of killings. We know Sandra Bland and I think it was Eric Gray or Eric Gardner or somebody else who also died in July. I mean, this stuff is not a coincidence. You have to be very blind to sit and look at this stuff and think this is normal. The people who blog and the people who do videos like this, we risk our lives, we risk our safety by coming out here and making these videos. And we don't ask for much at all except for support. And we barely get that. The thing is, what are you doing? What are you doing besides putting your own 2 cents and wanting to be heard and wanting to get a like or a comment in on a video or in the comment section? What are you doing to actively involve yourself into this situation? Some people just want to see everything crumble to pieces. Some people want to see violence. Some people want to see us in the streets fighting. What are you doing? Do something. If it's not positive, you shouldn't be doing anything. Keep your emotions to yourself. If you're not trying to be positive and productive in this whole situation, then sit down. Let people who are trying to help the situation help the situation. If you want to fight, if you want some kind of violence, there's plenty of that out there. We'll see you later, see you on TV or whatever happens to you. It's not what everybody wants. People want peace. People are screaming for peace. Will we ever get it in our lifetime? That's going to be up to the people. Ain't no celebrity going to save us. Ain't no sellout politician going to save us. It's going to only be the people. I'm a regular person, normal dude. I'm here doing my part. I've been doing my part for years. I've been putting out the truth for years. It's not up to me to decide what the truth is, but I took it upon myself to put out the research and the information on what I believe the truth is. It's up to you to make your own determination, to do your own research and decide what you believe is true. And as I always say, it's not about me. It's about the facts. It's about right and wrong. It's about the truth. If we did everything based on truth, based on right and wrong, then this world would be perfect. It would be totally different than what it is today. And we wouldn't have these stupid problems like who the hell argues over color? Now, don't get me wrong. I understand what that entails and what we deal with, with color and this and that. But you got to really understand we are arguing over color. It's people who won't deal with you simply because the color of your skin, and they attach this whole label to your color. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. And we got to be the only species on this planet who discriminate because of color. I need to wake up and see what the hell is going on and how we are being set against each other. It doesn't matter what your little teeny emotions are going through, whatever. People out here ain't got no legs, ain't got no arms. People are blind. Are you kidding me? You want to destroy the whole world because your feelings got hurt? Because you don't want to talk about a situation? Come on, stop being selfish and wake up. Now, those kids you hear playing in the background are black, white, and Hispanic. They're having a good time. That's what should be normal. That's what we used to do before we was taught to hate each other. Now, I don't expect this video to get nowhere near, 8 million views like his video did. I don't expect this video to get half the views because it's the truth and people hate the truth. And social media has a way of making sure the wrong message gets passed around to everybody's page, to everybody's channel, to everybody's eye view. I don't know. I could talk about this stuff for days and give you a lot of facts and proof, but I know if I make the video too long, people won't watch it in its entirety. So I just wanted to put this message out in response to this very ignorant video. I mean, come on. You have a black man eating fried chicken saying the very things that a racist white person would love to say. I don't know if it's staged or if this guy is really just this ignorant. I don't know. But it's something I felt like I really had to address because a lot of people don't realize what's really going on in this country. Some people are so filled with hate that they don't want things to be right. Some people want a race war. Some people want to see us in the streets fighting because of the hate they have inside. We can't let that happen. You can't let stupid people bring you down. You can't let stupid people stop the revolution, stop the movement of unity. That's what it's all about. I don't care about everything that happened in the past. I don't care about it. It's done. It's over with. All that exists now is the future for our children, the future for ourselves. We have to learn from the past. When we talk about the past, white people, please understand, this is no knock on you. This is no knock on you specifically today, the white people today. A lot of you stand with us. You march with us. This is no knock on you. We wouldn't dare say something to offend you when you are walking and marching and getting beat up with us and have been doing so since Dr. King. We don't mean you. We mean the white people back then. That's what we're talking about. That's who we're talking about. We don't mean you today. If any black person is saying you, white man today, is responsible for slavery, then something's wrong with him. He's being, crazy. You have to realize that Black Lives Matter means Black Lives Matter also. Black lives also matter. All lives matter, of course. But we're talking about black people right now because that's what's being shown on the news. We got to put this stuff to rest. Finally, people can say what they want. The only thing we should ever go by in our life is the truth and what's right and what's wrong. I want to thank everybody for watching. Subscribe to my channel.